We have to talk about Michigan
What game?
because Michigan. What do you mean? What a game?
I mean, what game?
What a game!
It was a good game.
What a game! No, it was a great game.
It came down to the end.
No, it was a great game. Michigan USC did come down to the wire. We all had USC last week who were on the pod. Miller Moss had a game, 283, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception against a pretty highly rated Michigan defense. You know, their status can be debated, which I'm sure we'll get into in a second. Alex Orji got his first start, the highly touted quarterback you guys kept talking about.
He's awful.
7 for 12, 32 passing yards in the air, so he was pretty lethal there. Khalil Mullings, Michigan's RB1, rushed 17 carries for 159 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
he's been
good.
dominant on the ground.
Yep.
They've completely given Donovan Edwards the back shelf, which is pretty interesting.
He's shit.
He takes I think he takes half of the snaps of the RB1, and he had I think 12 carries compared to the other guy's 17.
It's like the Madden curse.
But it's weird. But the team rushed for 290 yards total and 3 touchdowns, including some of those Donovan Edwards, some of the quarterback. So I just wanted to kind of talk about this game. It felt like USC, got kind of slapped in the mouth up front, and then just looked way better after halftime.
Yeah.
And then Michigan just grinded it down their throat and just ran the ball every single play, and then scored with 40 seconds left. So Ryan, you're the Big Ten guy. I'm sure you liked Michigan last week. You were on the pod. How did you feel about this one?
I mean, this was nothing new to me. Again, this is just, I know you're joking about Orgy stats. Same thing as
What
when
do you mean? No, those were his stats.
No, you're making a joke like it was lethal. Like last year when.
Those were his numbers.
Oh, no, I'm not. The joke was it's funny
just
that
that
he has those
he was
numbers.
good. Yeah,
Well,
no.
It's not about how many. It's just like they were a lethal 32.
All I'm saying is that I
All 32.
watched JJ McCarthy do the same thing, throw 10 passes and a half, not have to do much last year. And this team, this is who they are. They run the ball and play defense. They did it really good in the first half, and they played against a quarterback who I think is really talented and got kind of learned the defense a little bit in the second half because it was a direct punch in the mouth in the first half. I thought it was going to be a blowout. But, Miller Moss stepped out, proved me wrong. I thought he was going to get killed in his first real year of playing. But yeah, this wasn't surprising at all. I thought Michigan in the number was easy. The money line was tough. I'm still not convinced in their offense yet, but I mean, like I said, they're going to finish right around that playoff spot. Maybe they won't get in because they still got to play a lot of Big Ten people, but this wasn't surprising at all to me. I think their defense is still good. I think Miller Moss is just one of the best quarterbacks in the country.
Mario, how'd you feel about this one?
Yeah, someone who mortaled USC minus 5.5. Yeah. I quickly learned at halftime. I was like, okay, this spread is probably not hitting.
Yeah.
But I still felt confident in the money line because I wasn't impressed with Michigan's offense, and I knew at some point they were going to get a lot of 3-and-outs, and you can't give. I agree with Ryan about Miller Moss, he's talented, and you can't give a talented quarterback that many opportunities on offense. And you kind of saw that in the second half. He started kind of picking them apart, and I mean, I still think coming away from it, I still think USC's a better team. I think they probably win that game more often than not. But that dude Mullings just at the end, what an incredible
Dominated.
play. Well, I mean, but just that one
run where he broke out. Yeah.
He broke 3 tackles. He was like Marshawn Lynch reincarnated and ran 60 yards. But that guy was pretty much the only bright spot for Michigan offensively.
And their offensive line looked way better.
Yeah, their O-line as a unit is pretty good. I actually kind of had a feeling going into it that they would step up their O-line and defensive line.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not overall takeaways from this. If Michigan plays away or a neutral site against pretty much any mid top 20 team, I think they lose at home. They have a little bit of advantage until they get probably play any top 10 team. Then I think they get smacked around.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah. First of all, I completely agree with that take. I think Michigan against literally anyone else. Gets absolutely dog walked. I think this Michigan team is so god awful, and it says so much more about USC and Lincoln Riley and his inability to create any sort of defensive schematics that are effective. And that's always been
30 passing yards.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but besides that, I mean,
USC's defense was.
I agree
impressive.
with Mike on the defense take. I'm gonna get into
I just
it's pretty embarrassing in my view.
I think Lincoln Riley did his job in the sense of, or Lincoln Riley coaching did his job in the sense that USC had more yards and more first downs. Obviously, they ended up losing the game, but their offense was effective. They were efficient and they were moving the ball at a, high rate of efficiency, I guess, to be redundant. But, when your defense allows for 2 of the 3 touchdowns being for 41 and I think 62 yards or something or like 53 yards, just super explosive. If you're allowing those types of plays multiple times when you realize that their quarterback is fucking awful and all you have to do is just focus on the run and your defensive coordinator or your head coach or your whole coaching team or whatever can't figure out a solution.
But he did. Like at halftime,
No, but
they only gave up 1 touchdown in the entire second half.
Yeah.
He made an adjustment, and it was an unbelievable showing
Yeah,
from the defense.
it took him too long to adjust. I don't think they should have had to adjust though. Like what you go into this game, you're not worried about Michigan throwing the ball. No, at no point of this game.
I mean,
from
I think
15 minutes to start the first quarter, it doesn't matter. Like first quarter, second quarter, whatever. You never had to worry about Michigan passing.
Well,
Yeah.
we know that after, but going into it, technically,
playing a new quarterback,
there's not much
You have,
film.
you have
on
no
the guy.
idea what you're gonna get from it.
Like if he came out and like
They're
passed
not
the ball
honestly
well,
even
They,
more of a
they
reason
never
to
changed
know.
their scheme. They never threw the ball before Orgy was in.
Warren was throwing the ball.
Not really.
He
He never threw
much
for
more
like,
than Orgy.
well, in this game, I mean, I can look at the passing stats against Texas. We'll see. I mean, they were down the whole game, but I mean, Orgy threw what, 12 times? I don't think Warren was putting up 30 passes a game. Like this offense is pretty predicated on the run every single game, and you figured out pretty instantly that they're not running any routes that aren't screens, or like if it's a running back screen, a pick play, or like a quick out or slant. Like he's never throwing the ball further than 3 yards. You almost don't need safeties. Like I'm not joking. The way that
Play everyone up.
It's easier
they
said than
waited
done.
so
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what Texas did.
Just rush.
I mean,
Bum
damn.
rush.
All
No,
right.
but I'm just saying I think the majority of other Big Ten teams in this spot would have switched up the defense pretty quick, because watching this first half of them not putting everyone in the box
Forward,
was
yeah.
the most painful thing to watch I've ever seen. I was just watching this team just 4-yard run, 5-yard run. The guy averaged 9.8 yards per carry.
Yeah.
He had 17 carries. I mean, all you have to do is stop the run and like the option. You can do QB spy with the linebacker, and this team is the easiest team to play against. And you know what they're going to give you. Like their defense is going to let you score some points. So this is shameful on USC. This should have been a win. They were so unprepared to go into Michigan. I'll give them the first drive or whatever, like shell shock, but this was just really, really bad, I think, on like their preparation standpoint, because you could see as soon as they settled into the game, they were clearly the better team. They figured it out on defense. They weren't really doing like Michigan's offense wasn't doing anything in the second half besides the last drive. And then on offense, they were putting together drives. Finally, Miller Moss was throwing for yards. Zachariah Branch was eating in the second half, had like 80-something receiving yards just in the second half. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think that they play this game out a lot. USC wins the vast majority of these. This was, perfect timing. It was in Michigan too. But yeah, I mean, this Michigan team is not special to me. They won 30-10 against Fresno State, lost 31-12 at home against Texas, won 28-18 against Arkansas State, and then 27-24 at home against USC. So there's not really anything on that that's super impressive. The USC, obviously, their best win. But yeah, this was just, it was depressing because I was rooting for your Mortal, and it was also depressing because we have to sit and listen to Michigan being 1-0 in the Big Ten now.
Quickly piggybacking off that, because I talked last week when we were leading up to this game about, Lincoln Riley has had so much time to prepare for this team. And not only like just this team and like being a conference opener, but the fact that Michigan has for the past 2 years, 3 years been the same type of offense where it's just so run heavy. Like,
well, we can,
you're not very explosive, not very dynamic, and their defensive base to kind of lead them through anything. It's like, that's really pitiful. Like,
Also, I know you guys
how many
you guys
alarm
hate
bells
Michigan,
Wait,
but,
but
like-
I disagree with that, Mike, because they had a different coach before. So like, yeah, like that has
different
been their
coach,
offense,
13
but,
different
like,
starters.
and they also had way better players. So like,
well, I also don't want to pretend like I disagree completely with what you said about this team last year. Like, JJ McCarthy threw for 3,000 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 4 picks last year. they were definitely a run-heavy team.
Who's picked the 12th or whatever it was in the
No,
draft.
I know, but you said this isn't a change from what we saw last year.
This is a change. I was arguing that.
No, you just said it's the same thing we saw last year. JJ McCarthy was throwing 10 passes and a half.
No, in games. I'm saying this was Alex Georgie's first game. So I was saying I've seen this Michigan.
Oh, we were
team
talking about
before.
the offense. And then you said it's the
Ryan
same
just
as
said
last year.
he's seen this happen before.
Yeah, I've seen.
Oh, yeah.
So
Should
when
be
we're arguing that
easier.
Michigan team sucks, I'm like, no,
No.
I've seen this before where they rely on their
I
offense.
didn't say they sucked. I said, it was very obvious what they were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they do
Yeah,
suck.
yeah, and they just USC was unable to adapt. But let's not pretend they didn't throw the ball last year.
No one said that.
No, no one said that. Mike I think Mike said
Mike
they've been
might
the
be
same.
saying
I was saying
Mike's
that they
the
were
one saying
run
that.
heavy. I wasn't saying that
They're
they
always run heavy, but yeah, I mean, this year they're clearly. I mean, they threw the ball for 30 yards. Like when JJ McCarthy only threw 8 times, he still had over. I think it was 140 passing yards. They threw for 30 yards this game.
Yeah,
that is fucking crazy.
No, I mean,
think
they don't
that's
have a
terrible.
quarterback.
I think that was a smart thing to do from the coach.
Totally. I mean, Orji can't throw the football.
Yeah.
So you obviously don't want to put it in the air if you can't get it there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
then you're
I
wasting
mean,
down.
we'll see. Michigan got the win. That's what's important. And their next couple games against Minnesota and Washington are kind of cakewalk. So it looks like they might be whatever it's going to be. 5-1, undefeated in the Big Ten heading into Week 8. So
Yeah, maybe Illinois will kick them in their mouths 3 weeks from now.
yeah, Week 8. That's that Week 8 everyone's been looking forward
Oh, yeah.
to. That's that. I think it's Georgia, Texas, and Alabama, Tennessee weekend. It's gonna be
Yeah.
a nice weekend of football. But until then, your Big Ten's looking brighter. Michigan.
It's not
God.
brighter. It's
On the
just
way up.
what everyone knows it is. I mean,
Or it looks worse because USC, who is supposed to be somewhat decent.
or just two really good
helping-
teams play each
helping
other.
out
USC
that
wasn't
conference.
supposed to be decent. Let's not
They,
pretend USC's
yeah, they
win
were.
total.
I mean, they beat,
Let's not
they beat
pretend their win
LSU
total.
and SEC team. That's huge.
I know what they. I mean, I thought USC was gonna be better, but let's not pretend people preseason thought USC was gonna be an 11th ranked team heading into Week 4,
No.
5. No one thought they were gonna be ranked higher than
No one
Michigan.
did.
in this
Yeah,
game.
no, you're right. You're right.
If you would have said preseason USC was minus 5.5 going into Michigan, you would have been looked at like a fucking nut.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, USC is
That's
definitely. I think they might have come back down to earth a little, but yeah, we'll see. Big Ten matchups, very interesting, including some of the games we got this week. So